Hello, so this is chapter 37, the debate over drugs. The relationship between drug use and crime. Harry Anslinger, perhaps the person most responsible for shaping drug policy in America. Director of Federal Bureau of Narcotics, during Prohibition, focused on narcotics rather than alcohol. Advanced racist ideas in defense of his policies. The lessons of history. Anslinger discovered that it is virtually impossible to block the flow of a given drug into the United States. NASCAR developed as an unintended consequence of drug interdiction when cars were made faster to escape capture. Other unintended consequences of prohibition and interdiction efforts. The world of today and the war against drugs. Criminal activity and drug misuse. Partners in the dance, but who is leading? Which came first? The production or the use of drugs? Recall the interdiction did not reduce the drug problem. Criminal activity and personal responsibility. Can people be held responsible for their drug use behavior if there are neurological underpinnings of addiction? Is this about willful misconduct? Diminished capacity defense. Manufactured criminals. Those who have an SUD can often only get their drugs through illegal channels. In this regard, society has created the criminal element. Prices are inflated, so to obtain the money, individuals must engage in both legal and illegal activities to afford the drug that they need. Theft is not profitable, so more theft becomes required. Drug use and violence, the unseen connection. 3 categories of drug-related violence. 1, pharmacological violence. Nearly 50% of all sexual assaults are committed by men who have ingested alcohol. Amphetamine and cocaine may predispose the user toward violence, both against others and against the self. Consumption of alcohol may remove inhibitors that lead to homicidal or violent acts. 2, economic compulsive violence to obtain money, or systematic violence associated with the drug network. Partner-associated violence, known relationship between SUDs and violence between relationship partners. The reason for the violence are more varied and more complex. Drugs lower inhibition, including those that control anger. People may turn to drugs for solace after violent acts, self-medication. Between 75 and 90% of the cost of heroin at the street level is the result of adulteration. If drug passes through 4 or 5 levels of distributors, the product might be quite diluted. Less than 50% of the MDMA tablets sold contained actual MDMA. Categories of adulterants are as follows: various forms of sugar and stimulants. Local anesthetic, toxins, inert compounds to add bulk. Designer drugs. An almost like compound, not yet classified as a controlled substance by law enforcement, possible to develop dozens or scores of analogs of the parent compound, each of which are legal until it is banned. A drug cannot be classified as a controlled substance until a formal law can be passed, but only after the exact chemical structure is identified. Analogs may be as potent as the original compound, a loophole in the drug restriction laws. Some existing drug analogs, 1 of 8. So amphetamine-like designer drugs, 184 analogs of MDMA. Yabad, crazy, quote-unquote, crazy medicine in Thailand. It's a combination of ephedrine, caffeine, methamphetamine, and lithium. Kahat, methocanone, sub-Saharan Africa. The legal status of kahat, it's sold as bath salts, and were not for human consumption, so legal. Methods of kahat administration and effects of this compound. Adverse effects of kahat. Minimal research into kahat or synthetic cannabinoids. After extended use, users may sleep for days, capable of producing syndrome similar to Parkinson's disease, which lasts beyond use of the drug. Methadone, analog of cathinone, MDPV, quote-unquote bath salts, sometimes mixed with methadone. THC, like designer drugs, synthetic marijuana, K2 spice, bind at similar receptor sites, but can be 2 to 100 times as strong as marijuana effects. Variety of physical effects can lead to cognitive impairment, unknown if it is permanent. Hallucinogenic designer drugs, and then you have ketamine, gray area because used by physicians but also misused. Chemically related to PCP, diverted to street from veterinary supply companies. It's a date rape drug. Can lead to androgen grade amnesia. Aminorex, originally sold for weight loss. And then there's also gamma hydrobutyric acid, effects similar to those of alcohol. Phenethylamines, more than 250 members of the family of compounds. Mescaline, MDA, and MDMA. Nexus, Blue Mystic, 12 times more potent than hallucinogen. Mescaline, DOB, similar to MDA but lasts longer. Paramethoxamethine. Tryptamines, 200 compounds in this family, which is structurally close to neurotransmitter serotonin. Fox, quote-unquote, foxymethoxy. Psilocybin, fry, marijuana soaked in formaldehyde, then laced with PCP. Designer narcotics. There's also fentanyl, synthetic opioid that is widely used in various medical procedures. When smoked, it is possible for one inhalation to prove fatal to the abuser because of the potency of this compound. Dextromethorphan. It's kind of like the cousin to codeine. And then this is the last page. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of these. Hydromorphine, desmorphine, designer narcotics, Cranton, salvia, atypical compounds of misuse, atypical antipsychotics, fry, benzopiperazine, and medication diversion.